happen in June for then the election. So the candidates would get up there and make their pitch. They'd have people introduce them, then they'd give their little speech, and the people that would introduce them, almost to a person, would say, I've known this guy for 10 years. We worked together. This is what he did. What were they doing? They're networking, right? They're saying, I know this person, and they're good. So that happened today at the highest level in state government, people running for governor. Okay. Throughout our lives, there will be times when we're the helper, and there will be times when we're the helped. So when somebody needs a hand, one of the ways to increase your chances of getting a hand when you need it, remember, 12 to 15 jobs, is anytime you can help somebody, help somebody. So if you hear somebody that's looking for whatever, looking for a job, let's use, because we have so many engineers, somebody wants, one of you, let's say, how about this? A sibling of one of your friends just graduating from CU in May, next month. Okay, one of your friends, their older brother is graduating from CU next month, and they've always wanted to work at Lockheed. Who could we recommend, who could we connect them with at Lockheed, real life? Who do we know at Lockheed? Right. Or in this case, I didn't do it, David Olivato was in aerospace for, what, 75 years?
Close, 32.
I bet David Olivato knows some folks at Lockheed. While he may not have worked at Lockheed, he was in that circle.
Mike worked there in the booth, sound booth at church. He just retired.
Yeah. So you could make a connection. Any of us could make a connection with your friend's older brother to Matt Hannigan, and Matt Hannigan could get us to the next person, right? Get us close to somebody that's making hiring decisions. Harvey McKay, he's kind of an old timer now, but he was big back in my day. He wrote a lot of books. What did he say? He wrote one book like Swimming with the Sharks or something. It had a real popular title. But he wrote a book, Dig Your Well Before You're Thirsty. It was about networking. And one of the things he said is, up a proverbial creek, if you've got a network, you've always got a path. And then no matter how smart you are, no matter how talented, you can't do it alone. Networks are important. And we're going somewhere with this, gang. Actually, let me throw this out right now, because I'm kind of feeling like Charlie Brown's teacher. Gang, there's, what did I count? 13 in here? 13? Jonah, we have 14. There's 14 of us in here. A couple of you are going to do crazy well. And we all know each other. And we all know we're knuckleheads, right? All of us. But a couple of you are going to hit it big. Whether it be financially with businesses, or marry into a family, or whatever it is. The problem is we don't know which of you it is. So let me ask you this. Here's a weird thing that's going to happen. You guys are going to graduate, and you're going to go off to school. And many of you will never see each other again. Not to keep going back to the Alvados, but Adam, once Adam went away, right, he's kind of been away, right? Your brother's still kind of in the area, but once he's kind of gone, he doesn't pal around with all his buddies from this time in his life, right? But let me ask you this. in 30 years, so how old will you guys? You guys would be like 45. You'll have kids at home. If, Clara, if Michael called you in 35 years, and you hadn't heard from him in 30 years, and he needed something, he's like, hey, I see you're whatever, you're connected with, or your husband's with, or whatever the case is, would you help Michael out? In a heartbeat, would you? Even though you guys don't see each other. But here's the mistake that 99% of you are going to make is you guys aren't going to connect. And we're going to talk about LinkedIn here in a little while. And you will lose touch with one another. So I'm going to encourage you that get connected, because very soon Miss Melanie graduates next month. Who else graduates? Is she our only one? 2, 3? So 3 of you graduate next month. Get connected, because there may come a time where anything could happen. It's nice, like Harvey McKay said, when you're up a creek when you're networked, you've always got a paddle. Okay, so let's look at some examples. Nehemiah. What did Nehemiah do in the Bible? Yes!
He built the wall.
He built the wall. And you know what he says in Nehemiah 2:18? He said, let us build the wall. He didn't do it alone, right? Some of the other things he did was, first, he built the trust with the king of Persia, right? The king of Persia gave him a letter, or gave him letters, plural, for the governors of the Trans-Euphrates, right? That was networking. He gave a letter saying, hey governor, Nehemiah's okay. And then when Nehemiah got to Jerusalem, he said, let us, and it was a group effort. Next, I'm going to give you an example of Lou Holtz. You guys know, one of the problems with being old is my examples don't always resonate with you guys. Who is Lou Holtz?
Is he the college football coach?
Yes.
Okay, good.
For Notre Dame. So let me read you Lou Holtz's networking story. As head coach of Notre Dame football for 11 years, Lou Holtz totally turned around the program he inherited. In the 5 years immediately before he arrived, the Notre Dame win-loss record was 32 wins, 26 losses, 1 tie, 2 bowl appearances. The Holtz record, including his 96 season, was 100 wins, 30 losses, 2 ties, and 9 straight bowl appearances. Right? He goes down as one of the greatest college football coaches of all time. So everybody wanted to hire him when he was brand new and unproven, right? Of course not. So how did he get his job with Notre Dame? So here's his story, as he told Harvey McKay. So Lou says, there are many of examples of how networking has helped me. One of the most important came early in my career. I wanted to work for Woody Hayes of Ohio State. Woody Hayes is also a Hall of Fame college football coach. But I knew absolutely no one on his staff. I didn't have a clue as to what to do. I didn't have a clue as to what to do until I mentioned my goal to Rick Forzano, a person who I admired greatly and who was a football coach in the NFL. So NFL, not college. Rick knew exactly what to do. He arranged a meeting for me with Esco, I can't even say the guy's last name, one of Hayes' assistants. I didn't realize it at the time, but Esco was sort of a gatekeeper for Woody. He kept me on a list of countless prospective candidates who wanted to join Woody's staff. The meeting went well, but Esco was non-committal and nothing happened. I decided not to let it discourage me. I stayed in touch with Esco. Stayed in touch, that's key. As if I were a top candidate, even though I didn't even know if he was interested in me. I wrote him several times, kept him informed on what I was doing. kept myself prepared, and I let him know that I continue to have a strong interest in working in any vacancy should arise. The next year, a miracle occurred. A vacancy opened up on the Ohio State coaching staff. Woody sat down with all the staff members and they went around the room discussing the various candidates. Esco mentioned me and was up to date on my activities and accomplishments over the past years. On his recommendation, I was interviewed for the position and subsequently hired at Ohio State by Woody Hayes. I was ecstatic. So that's an example, and we all have stories of networking, how that's done it for us. So what were some of the keys? He told folks what he wanted to do. First, he knew what he wanted to do. That's the hardest thing. Because when you start networking, normally the first thing they say is, well, what do you want to do? So what do they do with that? So you need to have an idea what you want to do. Then you have to communicate it to folks. Then you have to stay in touch with folks. Okay? Make sense? So that's Lou Holtz. He's a character. If you ever get some downtime, watch some of his YouTube stuff. All right, so what do I need to do to network? Identify people to network with. Who are some of the folks that we can network with? Who are people?
Our friends.
Friends. Who else?
Family.
Family. Who else?
Friends' parents.
Friends' parents.
Co-workers.
Co-workers. What other type positions can you talk to? How about your pastor? Do pastors know anybody? Do you guys know any pastors? Right? Is that a slam dunk all day long? Some of you are involved in sports or 4-H or different things. You can ask your leaders, right? There's a lot of folks that we can talk to. Number 2, it requires that we interact with folks. So, one of the best ways to talk to people is to be around people. It's kind of funny how that works. So I encourage you to be involved in things. You can volunteer. A lot of the folks that are doing real well, that get opportunities, have first gotten out there and were involved with other people. So whether that be volunteering or different organizations. I'll give you an example. If you go to church and you walk in at the last minute and you're the first one out the door, how many folks are you going to meet? Not many. But if you volunteer for, what can you volunteer for? Set up for the women's Christmas dinner or something. Are you going to meet anybody? You have an opportunity to talk to folks? Of course. So one of the keys to networking is you have to be out meeting people. When you go to work, you get part-time jobs, talk to your coworkers, get to know them, have coffee after work, right? Because it's possible to work a lot and not know everybody. Would you agree, Abby?
No.
There's probably people, because you guys run big crews. Mm-hmm. How many folks would you say working on a busy, say, Friday night?
Probably around 20.
20.
Just like on the floor, not counting kitchen crew.
And I would bet, not counting?
Not counting kitchen crew.
Holy smokes. So let's say 25 to 30, and I bet you know 3 or 4 real well, and most of you don't know at all. Mm-hmm. So the point is, while you're at places, get to know folks. Means you have to stop and talk to them and be interested in what they're doing. As part of this caucus system, yesterday was the state assembly for Congressional District 4 to nominate our congressman, who's Ken Buck, who's already an incumbent. So it's kind of a formality, but we still do it because the rules require it. So a man called me, I didn't know, and he sounded older, you know, like an older senior citizen. I don't know how old he is, but probably, I don't want to offend him, but probably 75 or ish, probably in his 70s.
Sounded even older.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, sounds older on the phone. So he drove, he's like, hey, you want to ride with me? And it was my first time, so I wanted to learn. So I said, yeah, I'll ride with you. And from the moment I got in the car, and there was another guy in the car, he kept asking questions about what I do. And he's like, hey, Norm was in the back. So, hey, Norm, tell Rick what you do. And he's just this natural networker. And I learned so much about those guys. And I learned about the Congressional District 4 Assembly, but it was because we talked. Now, that is not my thing. Now, Cindy, my wife, if you make eye contact in the store, you have a new best friend. I don't want to even look up, right? It's hard for me, but networking, it's about meeting folks.